Oh, it's you again. Welcome. Who put me up here? Help. Oh, hi, I'm Mark. I've been a professional artist since I was 17 years old. I'm self-taught and now I teach art for a living. In this week's episode of YouTube Art School, I want to share with you how to go about and be successful at learning art without going to art school on your own terms. Maybe you're already doing it, but struggling. Well, it worked for me, and I know it can work for you too with the right approach. And I know because I've already helped thousands of my own students do just that. Saving them and maybe saving you thousands or tens of thousands of dollars in the process. Quickly, let's get this class started. All right, class is in session. Pay attention. Before we go into the how, why would you want to be self-taught in the first place? What is self-teaching anyways? I personally see it as someone who's not attending a traditional school or a course where you have a student-teacher direct relationship. Self-teaching is essentially learning to self-critique your own progress as you gather your learning material outside of a more formal educational system. Something like that. It's not for everyone, of course, but personally, I've always found it to be the best for me to be in full control of what I seek to learn based on my own specific needs. And I just happened to learn exactly what I needed to start working as a comic book colorist at the age of 17 and then getting hired as a concept artist for a game company at 19. If there was just one skill that I could attribute to my professional success, it's seeking just the right knowledge at any given time. And almost 20 years after turning pro and confirming this again and again, here's what I firmly believe will allow you to do the same. Here's how to be a self-taught artist. First, just like you need a target to practice archery, you need a goal to aim for as an artist. You need to start with as clear an idea as possible about what you aim to do with the art knowledge that you're about to seek out. That could be anything from starting your own comic, having a professional career, working at a studio of your dreams, or just enough skills to illustrate your Dungeons and Dragons campaign to make it more fun for the players. Whatever it is, it should be extremely compelling to you. To keep your eyes on the prize, find a way to make it at the center of focus in your work area. Maybe it's an image from the studio where you want to work at on your computer screen background. Maybe your goal is just written on a post-it that you'll leave on your tablet until it becomes true. Maybe a big poster that represents it on your office wall. It's so easy to lose track along the way, so make sure that your goal is always fresh on your mind and then visualize it. Do this often, maybe closing your eyes right before you go to bed at night and trying to see yourself in the future where you want to be. Seems silly, but it's so important. If you can visualize it, there is a path for you to achieve it. If you can't visualize it, your odds of success drop significantly. And that's the first step. From there, it's time to gather all or most of the educational content that you'll need along the way. Make a list of everything you need to learn and practice to reach your goal. It's not an exact science and you'll be adding and removing stuff along the way, but the list helps you see the path to your goal. If you can't see a path, if you have no idea what goes into turning your goal into an actual reality, you're not gonna reach it. I made a class not long ago about what you need to get started as an artist, focusing mainly on the fundamentals. And I highly recommend that you check out that class. I'll link it in the video description. In the order that I present them, add all the fundamentals I discussed to your list as a starting point. That would be perspective, gesture drawing, construction, anatomy, color and light theory, storytelling and composition, and then design. Beyond that, search for tutorials that are directly relevant to your goals. There's a lot of free stuff here on YouTube, of course. My channel is full of it. But sometimes it's worth spending a little bit of money to get something specific from someone who's known to be a good teacher and a respected artist. Check Udemy, Skillshare, and similar platforms like QBrush. There are always some gems that you'll be happy to discover. At this stage though, remember that you're just collecting material. You're not watching it all just yet. Because that's where step number 3 comes in. Now it's time to organize all that content, focusing first on the material that's low difficulty, then slowly increasing the difficulty and complexity of the topics over time. Baby steps. You're essentially creating some sort of curriculum, including all the learning material gathered previously. Not only that, but you should place the content on a tentative schedule that you'll be trying your best to follow over the next couple of months. It can be something like a list of topics that you'll tackle each week, along with a set of exercises that you think will help you solidify those skills. I made a super general schedule that you can download just to get an idea. I'll put the link to it in the video description. Something along those lines, but on a longer time frame than this, obviously. This is only an average week's general study schedule. Step number 4 then is closely tied to step number 3 in that you'll want to set a clear set of short-term goals for your study schedule. You should already have your ultimate goal in mind, of course, but big goals are overwhelming. They should always be broken down into many smaller goals that are more easily achievable on shorter timelines. If you're familiar with the language learning app like Duolingo, the ultimate goal might be to learn a new language, but the app will feed you many smaller goals along the way to keep you motivated. It's the same idea here. It could be to fill up 10 pages of your sketchbook of quick 2-minute gesture drawings in a week, or maybe drawing 100 heads in a week, or to have 5 portfolio pieces by a certain date, whatever makes sense for your goals. And then the last step before I move on to the psychological part of the process, which is just as important, if not more than what we've seen so far. In number 5, you'll want to document and share your progress. That's on one hand making sure that you keep good track of your artistic development by, saving all your sketchbooks and organizing them by date, or doing the same digitally with each of your studies on your computer in well-organized folders. And on the other hand, by sharing said progress with peers, whether you join a Discord server or some art forums. There's no such thing as true self-learning. In the end, you'll always need the input of other artists that are both better and worse than you at any given time. Not only because they might help you realize mistakes you were not yet aware of, but also sharing with others keeps you accountable. There's an undeniable extra energy that comes from doing this with other like-minded people. Seeing others grind for the same goal alongside you is super motivating. Anyways, those are the 5 steps to get started. With some efforts, you can definitely come up with all of this on your own. Of course, many artists do. But if you're looking for help, if you're looking to learn from an experienced professional who knows what it takes, take a look at my complete art education program. You can think of it as a full package for those looking to be self-taught artists. All the work that we just talked about is already done for you. It's only a matter of sitting down and working through it. It took me over 2 years to create, working on it full time, and it's still being updated 5 years later. It's my baby and I'm very, very proud of it. We're running a special sale on the full program, so check the link in the video description for details. Join our awesome art community and private Discord to see what you've been missing out on. There's still some time left, so don't miss out. Now back to the video. Of course, having the proper structure and approach is key. But often an equally important aspect is the psychological approach. It's one thing to know what to do, it's another to get your lazy brain to do it. The main obstacle to achieving your goal is almost always ourselves. So let's wrap up the class with a few things to keep in mind to increase your chances at success as much as possible. How to manage your psychology. And just being aware of this stuff should already help. So pay attention. The first thing to keep in mind is that practice should be challenging, but never overwhelming. If you feel yourself wanting to tap out, to give up, then what you're working on is likely overwhelming you. This is why I was recommending breaking up big goals into many smaller ones. Successful practice, like when you complete an exercise that you set out to work on, helps release happy hormones in your brain, a cocktail of dopamine and a few others. This is a super positive feeling of satisfaction that you want to keep repeating over and over and get it as often as possible. It feels awesome. If the challenge is too great, on the other hand, these hits of dopamine will be too far in between and you'll easily lose motivation over time. Challenge yourself, but don't overwhelm yourself. It's a tricky balance. The second thing is to understand that it's normal to not want to sit down and study something hard. Actively focusing on learning something new actually activates your body's stress response system. It's telling your brain to stop because it doesn't feel good, just like when you hit the weights at the gym. But it's pushing through that discomfort that delivers the results, as we all know. No pain, no gain, literally. What's good to understand here is that stress response diminishes with repetition. It becomes easier and easier with time. When you want to procrastinate, be mindful. That's your brain trying to avoid the workout. The little voice inside your head that's always telling you to take the easy way out. Don't let that lazy bastard do it. You're the boss. You're in charge. And then finally, the fuel that allows you to learn anything in the first place is focus. This is what makes possible everything we covered today. Science tells us that we get about 3 to 4 hours of focus, aka 3 to 4 hours of deliberate study per day to learn new stuff. And it resets every day after a good night's sleep. Now, video games, reading Twitter, texting, all those other things waste focus. You get max 4 hours a day. Spend it wisely. Spend it towards your art goals. Do it now. And that's gonna wrap it up for this week's class. If you're still here, I'm proud of you. And you get free brushes. I've made one of my 2 main custom brush sets available for free download with the link in the video description. Use them responsibly. They're the best. All right, see you next week for a new YouTube Art School class. Help!